Thank you so much for watching Landumc Goes There. Please subscribe and hit the like button and the bell notification button. Notorious is a 1946 American spy film that was directed and produced by Alfred Hitchcock. The movie stars Cary Grant, Ingrid Bergman, and Claude Rains. The storyline goes that after Alicia Huberman's father is sentenced to 20 years in prison for being a Nazi spy, government agent T.R. Devlin recruits her to spy on her father's friends and acquaintances in Rio de Janeiro. She's not very cooperative at first, saying that she isn't a rat, but Devlin, knowing that she isn't a Nazi sympathizer, appeals to her patriotism and wins her over. Soon after their arrival in Rio, Alicia is reunited with Alexander Sebastian, the leader of the pro-Nazi group there, and someone who once was very much in love with her. By this time, Alicia and Devlin have fallen in love, and he's not happy when their boss, Paul Preston, suggests that she accepts Sebastian's sudden proposal. Soon after they are married, Sebastian realizes that Alicia is actually an American agent, and he knows too well what his colleagues will do to anyone putting their plans at risk. This movie is considered by critics and scholars to mark a real watershed moment for Hitchcock artistically. Notorious is Alfred Hitchcock's first attempt to bring his talents to the creation of a serious love story. And its story of two men in love with Ingrid Bergman could only have been made at that stage in his life. Hitchcock rarely managed to pull together a dream cast for any of his 1940s films, but Notorious was a glorious exception. The story of smuggling uranium as a backdrop, plus the romantic pairing of Grant and Bergman, promised a big box office bang. Not everyone saw it that way, though. Probably the most notable objector to the project was the original producer, David O. Selznick. He wanted Cary Grant replaced with Joseph Cotten. He also believed that Grant would be difficult to manage during the production and that he would make really high salary demands. Principal photography began October 22nd, 1945, and it wrapped up in February of 1946. Production was structured the way that Hitchcock preferred it, with almost all the shooting done indoors on RKO sound stages. Even the scenes that seem exterior were achieved by rear projection processes. This gave him maximum control over the filmmaking process day to day. The only scene requiring outdoor filming was the one at the writing club where Devlin and Alicia contrived to meet Alexander Sebastian on horseback. The scene was shot at the Los Angeles County Arboretum in Arcadia, California. Second unit crews shot establishing exteriors and rear projection footage in Miami, in Rio, and at Santa Anita Park racetrack. With everything being done on a soundstage, production was really smooth and problems were few and small. One of the main problems that they had to contend with was that Claude Rains, who stood nearly 3 to 4 inches shorter than Ingrid Bergman, made it really difficult for them to shoot scenes together. For the scenes where Rains and Bergman were to walk hand in hand, Hitchcock devised a system of ramps that boosted Rains's height, but yet were unseen by the camera. Alfred Hitchcock and Ingrid Bergman managed to get along famously during this production. This all in spite his infatuation with her. Hitchcock went on to tell a story of how Bergman attended many of his frequent dinner parties at his house, and he stated that one time she hysterically refused to leave his bedroom until he made love to her. This is an episode of his storytelling that almost surely never happened. In the scene where Alicia is drunkenly speeding along a South Florida road with Devlin as the passenger, it was all shot in the studio with rear projection. The projection shots had a motorcycle cop gaining on them. As he gets closer to the car, he goes out of frame to the right, and the movie cuts to him riding next to the car. Hitchcock suggested to the cinematographer that he shine a light on the back of Grant and Bergman's necks as the projected motorcyclist moves off to the side. The cinematographer was a little bit irritated at Hitchcock and kind of snapped at him. He said, "You're getting a little bit technical there, aren't you, Pop?" But that's what Alfred Hitchcock did, and that's what makes his films stand out above so many others. After the film production had ended, Cary Grant kept the famous Unica key in his possession. A few years later, he gave that key to his great friend and co-star, Ingrid Bergman. He told her when he did this that the key had given him really good luck, and he hoped that it would do the same for her. Many years later, at a tribute for the director Alfred Hitchcock, Bergman went off script and presented that key to him, to his amazement, surprise, and delight. Now, the big talk around the release of this film was the kissing scenes between Grant and Bergman. And to get around the possible censorship of these scenes, because at that time, the code for production to keep from getting censored meant that a kiss could last no more than 2 seconds. So Hitchcock kept these from looking too long and too passionate by having them kiss, then back off, kiss again, and nibble around each other. They also did this as they discussed food, as they moved about the apartment, and while speaking on the phone. All of this allowed them to dodge a bullet from the Hays Code. But Hitchcock's reason for doing and including this kissing scene came from a memory that he had of a young couple that he spotted when he was taking a train in France. He stated that the boy was urinating against a wall, and the girl had hold of his arm, never letting go of him. She would look down at what he was doing, and then look up again at the scenery, and then look down again to see how he was doing. Hitchcock stated that that's what gave him the idea that she just couldn't let go, that romance must not be interrupted even by urinating. I find this is a fairly bizarre statement by Hitchcock, but I think he did say it, and it was the initial source for this scene. Take a look at this classic Hitchcock film. I think you'll enjoy it. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll continue to chase the classics.